Dedicated to bringing you up-to-the-minute news on local and international maritime trade, this is Nimasa This Week. Hello and welcome. My name is Iretiola Doyle. You're still watching Nimasa This Week, and you want to stay tuned because up next is another report, a very stimulating one, on the maritime sector.
The Oil Trading and Logistics Africa Downstream brought together dealers in petroleum products operating within Nigeria in the city of Lagos. It was an exhibition which had as its objective the development of business, efficiency, policy and operations in downstream petroleum markets. It was primarily concerned about ensuring that the value chain for oil supply delivers on its potential for all operators and stakeholders. The Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency (PPPRA) had in 2012 given a formal recognition to the OTL Africa Downstream in demonstration of its commitment towards the promotion of efficiency of petroleum products markets. The PPPRA further entered into a strategic collaboration with the Expo to make sure that through it, Nigeria could become a major center for downstream petroleum business in Africa, thereby promoting an investment increase in the markets. An expert in the field of maritime law and policy in Nigeria and chairman of OTL Africa Downstream, Barrister Emeka Akabogu, said the exhibition would bring about an increased attention in policy making and regulation in the petroleum industry.
Essentially, the Expo is there to help galvanize the Nigerian downstream industry into increased efficiency from the precise role of being more involved in policy advocacy, which impacts on operations. So that's the summary of the essence of the Expo. Because for long, the downstream segment of the market has been seen as being quite inferior to the upstream. And because of that, there's been suboptimal policy attention and suboptimal regulatory attention to this segment. And these have not impacted well on the industry.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency (Nimasa) was a major player in the OTL Expo. This is because petroleum marketers in the country are involved in the shipping of petroleum products, a maritime activity which is under the regulation of Nimasa. Nimasa's stand at the exhibition provided an avenue for individuals and stakeholder organizations to make inquiries about the activities of the regulatory agency and how it could be of help to them. Publications about the agency's regulatory activities were also on display for those who would need the information.
Nimasa is represented here because it is a regulatory maritime agency in Nigeria, and this is the body that is being set up by the government under Nimasa Act 2007 to oversee maritime industries in Nigeria and all the activities going on in Nigeria. The oil companies are part of the maritime industry. They partake in the activities, and we, being the regulatory body, we regulate their activities as well.
The chairman of the organizing committee, Barrister Emeka Akabogu, tied Nimasa's presence at the occasion to its relevance to the petroleum marketing industry.
Nimasa is Nigeria's maritime administration, and the maritime administration includes the administration of safety of tanker ships. Not just safety of tanker ships, all issues relating to tanker ships. You can't have petroleum products. You can't have a petroleum products industry without tanker ships. So Nimasa is a core stakeholder as far as the regulation, the registration, the very existence of tanker ships within the Nigerian waters are concerned. And that is why Nimasa is an important stakeholder as far as downstream petroleum is concerned.
When Nimasa this week approached the Group Executive Director of Supply and Trading for MRS Holdings Limited, Hajia Amina Maina, for her assessment of the security situation in Nigeria's coastal waters, she had this to say.
In the last few years, Nimasa has done quite a bit in the area of security, in securing the STS locations. They've done quite a bit in the area of cabotage to ensure that their operations are carried out offshore Lagos. To this end, what they have done is they have designated STS locations, and those STS locations are secure locations. They're secured by a task force which Nimasa has put together with the Navy and all the security agencies. And today everyone's doing the STS operations offshore Lagos.
While stakeholders expressed satisfaction about Nimasa's improved regulation to build on the transformation that has characterized Nigeria's maritime industry in recent times by an improved enforcement of the Cabotage Act.
Nimasa, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. For Obonga shipping registration, no. Nimasa, commercial shipping, no. Nimasa, maritime labor,
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, the nation's maritime watchdog, established to promote maritime safety, security, commercial shipping, and regulate maritime pollution. NIMASA is well positioned and committed to take the development and standardization of Nigeria's maritime industry to greater heights. Are you interested in the local or international commercial shipping business or in seafaring and do not know what to do or how to go about it? NIMASA will guide and see you through. Sea pirates, oil thieves, and all forms of dubious and illegal business on Nigeria's maritime domain have no hiding place because Nimasa's eagle eyes will locate or catch up with you. For Nimasa, it is zero tolerance to sea pollution as all abandoned ships and wrecks on Nigeria's waterways which pose danger to sea transportation will be cleared. Nimasa, promoting safe and secure maritime environment.
Special announcement from the Nimasa Science and Technical College. The admission list of students into the Nimasa Science and Technical College of Okoloba, Delta State has been released by the management of the college. The full list was published on the 23rd of October in the following publications: The Vanguard, The Sun, and Leadership newspaper. Parents and guardians are requested to accompany successful candidates to the Nimasa Zonal Office, 19 Warri Saple Road, Warri, Delta State, for registration and documentation between the 28th of October and the 8th of November 2013 during working hours. For additional information, contact the Nimasa Science and Technical College Management on the following phone lines: 0816 4418735, 0806 3870170. Announcer, Management, Nimasa Science and Technical College, Okoloba, Delta State.
That Nimasa is willing to partner with any initiative that advances the cause of the maritime sector is a settled fact. Recently, the Association of Maritime Reporters organized a workshop for maritime correspondents. The workshop took place at the Maritime Academy in Oron, and of course, Nimasa obliged. Here's a report of proceedings of that event.
The Maritime Reporters Association of Nigeria, MARAN, held a one-week training workshop for journalists covering the maritime sector recently. The workshop took place at the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Oron in Akwa Ibom State. Attending the workshop were journalists from the print and electronic media. The Director General of Nimasa, Mrs. Akede Patrick Akpobulekemi, was invited to deliver a paper on the role of the maritime administration in capacity building for the shipping sector. The DG's paper was delivered by the Head of Public Relations of the agency, Mr. Isiche Osangbe, who represented him at the workshop.
Let me make it clear that building capacity for the development of the shipping sector is at the core of the mandate of the agency. It will have direct and positive effect on the cabotage regime in Nigerian ship building and ship repair business and our nation's flag. Capacity building simply represents the raw material need to grow the Nigerian maritime sector, thus playing a major role transformation agenda of President Goodluck Jonathan's administration.
Earlier in a welcome address, the President of the Maritime Reporters Association of Nigeria, MARAN, Mr. Bolaji Akinola, expressed appreciation to Nimasa for sponsoring the capacity building workshop and expressed the desire for the agency to make the sponsorship an annual affair.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, hereby informs ship owners, seafarers, shipping agents, and the general public that the Nigerian flag state has ratified the Maritime Labour Convention 2006. The instrument of ratification was deposited at the International Labour Organization office, Geneva, Switzerland on June 18, 2013. The agency wishes to inform the Nigerian maritime business community that the MLC 2006 is already in force globally since August 20, 2013. In the case of Nigeria, the effective date for the entry into force will be June 18, 2014 on account of the date of its registration at the office of the International Labour Organization. Before the commencement date of June 18, 2014, guidelines for compliance with the provisions of the Maritime Labour Convention 2006 will be made available to owners of vessels and operators. This will enable them present their vessels for inspection in line with Regulations 513 on Maritime Labour Certificate and Declaration of Maritime Labour Compliance. For further inquiry, please contact the Director, Maritime Labour Services Department, 3rd floor, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, number 4 Boma Road, Apapa, Lagos. Signed, Management.
Again this week we went trawling through our email box and came up with answers to those questions that we have determined to be the most frequently asked on our show.
Our frequently asked question for this week is, what is the agency's policy regarding staff training?
The agency's policy on training is basically has to dwell on professional ethics and the global standard of best practice in the industry, not in terms of motivation, it's in terms of capacity building. So we look at our training needs on the basis of gaps we identify from the different departments, units, and address such gaps in such a way that our staffs can produce the best result ever that can be computed all over the world.
We continue on our update this week on the guideline on the implementation and governance of the International Ship and Port Facility Security ISPS Code. The Stakeholders Forum is a platform conceived to bring all stakeholders, both government and private, in the maritime sector together to discuss developments, challenges, and issues that impact on maritime security and operations in general. This conference shall aim to encourage dialogue, cross-pollination of ideas, and networking among industry players and relevant government bodies. The forum will seek to improve the maritime industry and position it better for growth and development by promoting research, discussion, and symposiums on a wide range of maritime and security issues affecting the industry. Its key area of focus will be the appraisal of current and emerging threats to the maritime industry domestically and globally. Nimasa shall be the convener of the annual Stakeholders Conference. The categories of stakeholders are as follows: government agencies, international and foreign agencies, port facility owners and operators, service providers, registered security officers, vendors and infrastructure service providers, guard force security companies, labor-relevant unions and associations, the press. Every stakeholder in the industry, oil companies, shipping companies, equipment vendors, service providers, guard force companies, and others have a responsibility to participate and contribute to this conference. Join us next week as we continue to update you on the ISPS code and the responsibilities of Nimasa as the designated authority in subsequent episodes of the program. For more information, visit www.nimasa.gov.ng.
A critical function that Nimasa performs on behalf of the nation in maritime affairs is the registration of ships. The ship registry is situated within Nimasa and is a very vital component of maritime administration. In our next report, prepared by Anete Edit, it highlights the two forms of registries that exist, which is the open and closed registry. Now, this promises to be very enlightening.
Originally meant as a measure of control for ships carrying cargo in European seaborne countries, ship registration has been done for several decades since business on the sea has become very important. The process of registering a ship was first used to ensure that vessels were being built in the country of its locality with crews predominantly from the country of its origin. Since then, ship registration has been used to document ships for ownership and provide evidence of nationality for international purposes and provide financial mortgages for documented vessels. With this being said, ship registration can best be described as the process of documentation of a ship and giving the vessel a specific nationality. The nationality of a vessel is the instrument which allows a ship to travel internationally, as it is a proof of the ownership of the vessel, thereby engendering a measure of confidence for other national maritime authorities to do business with. Ship registers are mostly operated by governments or authorized private organization of the country of its origin. The process of registration involves two kinds of operations, which are the open and the closed registry. An open register describes an organization that will only register ships owned by foreign entities and is the most commonly practiced form of registration. Maritime stakeholders refer to ships registered this way as a vessel flying a flag of convenience. On the other hand, a closed register is a process that requires that a ship be owned, constructed, and crewed by nationals of the particular country's ship registry. While it is usual to say that a ship sails under the flag of its country of registration, it is bound to the laws of the flag states.
A ship's flag state exercises regulations to certify the ship equipment and crew and also issue safety and pollution prevention documents.
Over the past years and today, the growth in the open registry has almost doubled, with more than 54% of the world shipping. As of 2009, more than half of the global merchant ships were registered with open registers led by Panama, Liberia, and Marshall Islands, which over 40% of the entire world fleet in terms of deadweight tonnage. 34 countries, including Liberia, which has the second largest registry in the world after Panama, currently operate a flag of convenience, otherwise known as the open registry. This growth is traced to the reluctance of countries with closed registries to open up their registers to persons or organizations they cannot vouch for. There are also national security considerations that underscore the justification of nations operating closed registers. It must be noted that countries like Panama and Liberia that operate open registers are relatively small nations without strategic natural resources like Nigeria, with our vast oil and gas resources. This fact, more than anything else, may be responsible for Nigeria joining the League of Nations operating the closed registry system of ship registration.
Now, for Nigeria, the benefits are immense. One, seventh largest oil exporter in the world. We have a lot of activities of the oil majors in Nigeria. Nigeria within the West Coast, in Africa, the most populous black nation in the world. Within the West Coast, we control substantial part of the trade. I'm talking of the waterborne, both domestic and international waterborne commerce. Nigeria controls huge percentage, not less than 60% of the entire trade, waterborne trade in the West Coast, West and Central Africa.
The history of flag of convenience dates back to the era of the Roman Empire. But it was after the Second World War that the need arose for market competitiveness in world shipping, which gave rise to the stellar growth in the use of such flags. While it may be argued that the world may with time embrace the open register system, there are very compelling reasons why Nigeria still prefers the closed register system. The relative dominance of foreign ship operators of Nigeria's maritime sector demands that the nation's maritime authority initiates affirmative actions to stimulate indigenous participation in the sector. The major issue critics of the open register system have against the system is its vulnerability to abuse, especially in the areas ranging from tax avoidance, labor law abuse, breaching of environmental regulations, and the proclivity to hire crew from lower wage countries, thus denying nationals of the hoisted flag of convenience employment opportunities. Ship registration is a prerequisite for all vessels seeking to travel internationally and beyond borders. Although it is not necessary for vessels which travel on local waters, some registries like the Nigerian Ship Registry provide nationality to such vessels as well. The registration of vessels under the Nigerian flag is governed by the Merchant Shipping Act MSA CAP 124 of the Law of the Federation of Nigeria 1990 and its subsidiary legislation. The Act is supplemented by regulations dealing with such matters as crew competency, safety rules, load line rules, pollution, etc. It is modeled after the English Merchant Shipping Act of 1894. The Shipping Register is administered by the Maritime Inspectorate Division, a department of the Federal Ministry of Transport, and all official forms are obtainable from the Register of Shipping, whose office is within the Inspectorate. The Inspectorate Division has now been merged with the Nigerian Maritime Authority, which was established to meet and manage the objectives of the UNCTAD Code of Conduct for liner conferences, particularly the observance of the 40-40-20 ratio for carriage of inward and outward cargo. Eligibility for registration. Automatic eligibility is granted to Commonwealth citizens and companies established under and subject to the law of a Commonwealth country and having their principal place of business in a Commonwealth country. Foreign-owned ships are also eligible for registration in Nigeria, provided its owners comply with the Nigerian company law and immigration regulations, such as the procurement of a business permit, which is a permit granted by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council to businesses that have foreign equity holding. In certain cases, prospective applicants may also seek expatriate quotas and resident permits, enabling the foreign crew and administrative staff to work and reside in Nigeria.
Special announcement from the Nimasa Science and Technical College. The admission list of students into the Nimasa Science and Technical College, Okoloba, Delta State, has been released by the management of the college. The full list was published on the 23rd of October in the following publications: The Vanguard, The Sun, and Leadership newspaper. Parents and guardians are requested to accompany successful candidates to the Nimasa Zonal Office, 19 Warri Saple Road, Warri, Delta State, for registration and documentation between the 28th of October and the 8th of November 2013 during working hours. For additional information, contact the Nimasa Science and Technical College management on the following phone lines: 0816 4418735, 0806 3870170. Announcer, Management, Nimasa Science and Technical College, Okoloba, Delta State.
As part of our mandate to continually update you on issues within the maritime industry, here are some of the highlights of the guidelines on the implementation of the Coastal and Inland Shipping Act, otherwise known as the Cabotage Act 2003, revised in 2007. We continue on the special register for cabotage wholly Nigerian-owned vessels and companies eligible for registration. 2. Applications shall be processed only where vessel documentation in the flag register is current and valid. 3. Applicants shall be asked to supply additional documentation where such are not contained in the vessel's file in the flag register. Under the special register for cabotage bareboat chartered vessels and companies eligible for registration include: A. Vessels already registered in the bareboat register of the Nigerian Ship Registry and shipping company registered in Nigeria. B. Shipping company registered with Nimasa. C. Where full control and management of vessel and company is vested in Nigerian citizens and the shipping company is 100% beneficially owned by Nigerian citizens. D. Vessel is crewed by Nigerian seafarers and officers. E. Vessel is built in Nigeria. F. Vessel and company granted ministerial waiver on D or E as the case may be.
We shall continue to give you updates on the guidelines for the implementation of the Coastal and Inland Shipping Act on our program next week. For more information, visit www.nimasa.gov.ng.
And that is our edition for this week. I hope you found it just as stimulating as all the rest. Now, we're going to be here same time, same station, but don't forget, Nimasa This Week is an interactive show. We want to respond to your comments, your questions, and even your criticisms. Just keep sending those emails to the address showing on your screen. I'm going to be here same time, same station next week. Until then, I'm wishing you smooth sailing and bon voyage.